Welcome back. Today we are going to rewire a lamp. And this particular type of rewiring is new to us. It's not a new technique. In fact, you're very unlikely to find this technique on a modern lamp, but it was not uncommon on older lamps. The lamp we are using is from probably the 1940s, so we have an unusual configuration. So stick around, we'll learn something new today. Okay, here is our lamp. I just got this yesterday at Goodwill. It was filthy. I probably ended up cleaning this like 3 or 4 times before I got all the schmutz off it. There was just grunge in every little nook and cranny. It's a lovely lamp, 1940s, nice classical urn shape. It's got this little medallion here, and it's showing a 17th century scene. It's kind of got a European look to it, but in fact, this could have very easily just been colonial Boston. Who knows what they're trying to describe? The lamp is not wired the way the lamps that we've been working on are wired. We've been working on lamps that have a rod running the entire length of the lamp, coming down and being affixed at the bottom of the lamp, usually to a base, and that's how they go together, not this one. Before we get started, I should mention, because I forgot this the last time we did a project, and people called me out on it. It's like, well, no, really, I do have... These are my safety glasses. All of my glasses are, in fact, safety glasses. I usually just make a point of putting these on so that, for one thing, you can see that I've changed glasses, and because I've changed glasses, it usually reminds me to mention it to you. Also, notice no jewelry, nothing like that. When you are working with power tools, and I was for this, you don't want anything but safety glasses, and you don't want jewelry, loose clothing, anything like that. You can get hurt. Remember, always safety first. So the way this lamp goes together is there is a small bit of pipe, little nipple. There will be a washer on the underside of this. Let me just pop this washer on right now. Well, actually, it's not just a washer, it's a washer/nut. It's wider than a regular nut. That will grab the underside of this lip. Then we'll bring another washer down on top of it, well, nut on top of it, actually along with a larger washer from the top, and that will secure this little piece of threaded metal. It's hollow, and our wire will go through this, and it will be secured under the porcelain, right under here, and on top. And that is all that's going to be holding our wire together. So we have to take a couple of safety steps that we don't ordinarily have to take when we are wiring to make up for that fact. So let me tell you what I've got here. I have the little nipple. I just cut it off this larger bit of threaded pipe. I did that with my Dremel and a cutting wheel. It's very easy. Took less than a minute to just slice right through it. The only caveat I would say, besides, of course, the safety glasses, is grab a dish towel or a pair of gloves, because when you are using high-speed power tool on metal like this, it will get hot. It will get hot enough to give you a good burn if you're not careful. So just keep that in mind. This is the leftover bit of pipe. This will go on to another project. We have our socket, and it is in 3 pieces. That's how they come. I've disassembled it already. I have sundry washers and nuts here. This is our lamp harp saddle. This is the piece that's going to hold the lamp harp in place so that we can use a standard shade and put a nice finial. This is our finial here. Let me show it right side up. This is our finial. This is our lamp harp. This is also a vintage piece, along with the socket. One of the reasons I chose a vintage socket is I want that nice pull chain. This lamp undoubtedly had a pull chain socket originally, and I want to keep that look. And then I have the wire. Now, this wire had an inline switch. When I order wires from my lighting parts supply company, I will invariably order them with an inline switch or a little socket at the end, and I just cut them off and save them for other projects. They go into a very attractive little box, so it's not hoarding, and I just keep them because I'm sure I'm going to need them in the future. So, let's see. The first thing, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to show you this. This is my little piece of felt. It's self-stick felt, and it comes in a sheet about the size of a piece of paper, maybe 8 by 10. Drop the lamp on, well, turn it upside down so you can write on this paper on the back. Drop the lamp down on the paper, trace the outline, cut it out, and then you have a piece for the bottom. Now, we have a hole here. Remember, we are not coming through the bottom on this, so we have a little hole, and that's where the cord is coming out. So the first thing I'm going to do is thread this cord through the bottom. Now I'm going to thread a lot of it through. I don't need anywhere near this much cord, but I want this much cord. What I'm going to do, first of all, is tie a knot in this cord. I am going to need this knot. I'm going to need the knot for what I'm doing right now, and then I will loosen the knot and retie it later as another little safety step. Right now, I'm threading my wire through my little nipple, and it goes down to the knot and it stops. And that knot is going to keep this from just sliding all over the place. It's going to hold my little nipple in place. Now, I'm going to feed this through. With any luck at all, I'll be able to do it reasonably quickly. Otherwise, I'll pause the video and not make you watch me as I try to stuff this bit of cord through here. The cord is fairly stiff. Consequently, stuffing it through is not all that difficult. Just have to get it down there, and then just sort of tease it through that opening. And it looks like I might just have to pause this rather than make you watch me just doing this, because this is not exciting. Okay, we're going to pause for a moment, and I'm going to just do this and then show you. Well, we're going to call it time-lapse photography. That sounds ever so much better than pause this while I fish this nonsense through. Hang on. Well, I'm back. Through the wonders of time-lapse photography, here we go. It occurred to me that if I held the lamp upside down and simply dropped the cord through, that it had a much better chance of falling through the hole. Amazing, I didn't think of that beforehand. But the next thing I'm doing is I'm dropping over a washer. And we need that because, of course, we have to protect the porcelain, and we don't want any of this to just sort of skitter through our small porcelain opening. This is a nut. It's smaller than the others because I have a large washer, so I don't need a large nut here. I'm just going to tighten this down. These nuts are great because they have tooling on the edge, rather like a dime. It's got a rough edge, and that means you can tighten them by hand. Now, this is just a decorative collar. It just goes on top. It's going to separate our porcelain base from the socket a little. That's just aesthetics. We could, in fact, put the socket right on top of the porcelain. It wouldn't harm the lamp in any way. As I say, just aesthetics. I just think it looks better like this. Next is our lamp harp saddle. Remember, without the saddle, we don't have the lamp harp. Without the lamp harp, we don't have the finial. So that just goes on here. I'm going to line this up with the sides. And remember, our socket broke down into 3 parts. This is the base. So I just thread this through, and then I'm going to screw this on. Now there's a little tiny screw in this socket base that will lock the base in place. And I'm going to try to slide this around to the back so that it's not like visually disruptive in the front. Screwdriver. I'm going to tighten this. The reason I'm doing this is because I don't want the socket to get twisted or turned and just end up twisting right off the lamp. That would be unfortunate. Okay, now we have our wire ends. And our wire it's 2 wires, as we know. We've done this before. They are separately insulated. We're going to put in our UL knot. Now, remember that our UL knot, well, actually, should probably take the insulation off. Yes, I know, I get in trouble for doing this. Everybody says use the wire tools, and I use whatever happens to come to hand that's sharp enough to bite through the insulation. Yes, okay, there are 2 ways of doing this. There is the right way with your little wire cutting tool that will bite through the insulation, and then there's my way, which is just give me something sharp, and I'm going to do it on my own. This is our copper wire. Just going to twist that. It's many small wires, so I'm just twisting it to keep them together. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Yes, I know I should be doing this with the right tool. Bad me. The great thing about this is it does show you that electrical work is remarkably simple, and you really don't need a lot of fancy tools. Yeah, it would be nice if I showed you how to use the fancy tools, wouldn't it? But in fact, you can get the same results with a sharp knife, or in my case, a pair of household scissors. I'm just breaking into the insulation and taking it off because I need to expose the wire ends. Okay, so here we go, our UL knot. I'm sure you remember this. It's a mouse. Here's its little ear. There's one ear goes in front. The other ear goes in back. The front goes through the back. The back goes through the front. And there's our little mouse ear knot. And that is called a UL knot, and that's how we're supposed to do it. Now, the next thing we do is we wire it into this part. This is the working part of the socket. This is the inside. It's got two little screws. One screw is brass. The other screw is usually white in this case. I'm not sure what color they painted that. But I'm sure you'll remember our little mnemonic. Brass, bald, black. That means our black wire, or our bald wire, which is the one that does not have the ridge in it. Let's take a look at you. You are ridged. You are not. And that goes around our brass nut. Brass, bald, black. And hopefully we've got that one down pretty well by now. I'm just wrapping that. Remember, this is the bald side of the wire, the one that doesn't have ridges, just like a bald tire. That goes around the brass screw. Doesn't matter what color the other screw is, because you will find, especially with older hardware, you will find that sometimes they painted those screws any strange variety of colors. But as long as you have brass, bald, black down pat, everything that's left over goes together. Now, we're going to drop this in, and in order to do that, I'm going to start pulling the slack out of this cord. I wanted a lot of cord to work with when I was up here working. Now I can just take it out, just feeding it back through the bottom. Here's our little mouse ear knot. We just stuff this back in. I want this cord to drop down right in the front, and this is the top half of our socket. So in this case, the top half of our socket is sort of silvery looking. It's brass down at the bottom where it meets the bottom half of the socket, but the upper portion is sort of silvery. And this just snaps in. There we go. Click, click. Now, remember I told you we were going to use this knot, and we are using it. I'm going to loosen the knot so I can reposition it. I'm going to tighten this knot at the end of the cord. Well, actually, it's the middle of the cord, but the point at which it comes through this hole on the inside. That means if somebody grabs this lamp and pulls it by the cord, they're not going to be able to yank the entire lamp cord out, bare wires, whatever. The knot is going to stop them. And the knot will catch on the inside of this hole because this hole here is relatively small. So here's our little knot. Once I've got that tied up, I will show you. Oh, for heaven's sake, you can tie a better knot than that. All right, here's our little knot. pulling it out, and the knot is catching right in here. That means you grab, you pull, the whole lamp comes. You're not pulling the cord out. I know, you're probably thinking to yourself, what kind of idiot grabs a lamp by its cord? Usually they are 3 years old screaming, look what I found, Mommy. So we need the little ones to be safe. Now, at this point, we have this mess. And that is quite a mess because there was nasty old felt on the bottom. I got most of it off, but not all of it. And now I'm going to peel the backing off this little felt circle. Self-stick. Just going to turn it upside down, line this up. Drop it down and just sort of push it to seat that felt. Okay, here is our lamp. Now, next step is we're adding the lamp harp. And that's just going to slide right into the saddle. And we've got these little caps that drop down, keep it in place, keep it from going anywhere. And once we choose a shade, we have our finial all ready. And, well, actually, I'm going to take this off because it's going to be very hard for you to see this. In case you missed the episode on finials, I chose this finial for the lamp because I liked the way this, well, first of all, it's got a nice gold color to it, and I liked the way it reflected this round medallion in the middle. It's ornate, it's decorative, it's from the right era. So I think this is a hat for the queen. And as I've said many times, a finial on a lamp is the hat on the queen. It's the final touch. It's what makes it interesting to look at. So we haven't gotten a shade for this yet. I am distressed beyond words because I believe my green fiberglass Uno shade is not coming out of the schoolhouse alive, unfortunately. I think that was a casualty of the tree falling on it, because I sure would have liked that shade on this lamp. But we'll come up with something. We're going to come up with a nice shade for this lamp. When we do, this lamp is going to be a giveaway. So remember that one. You will be seeing it again, but probably not until I find a nice shade for it. Anyway, that is how you wire a lamp with a short nipple. Will you see this? Oh yes. If you are dealing with older lamps, you are going to see this. Very common in old porcelain lamps. It's not quite as easy as just dropping a rod through and tightening it off at the bottom. But it's not difficult either. It's persnickety, just having to thread that cord through the lamp. That's the only difficult part. The rest of it, very, very simple. So now we know how to rewire a short threaded lamp, nice porcelain piece. We got a giveaway to look forward to, and I will see you all tomorrow.